The Niger River shimmered under the golden light of dawn, its waters a lifeline to the great Mali Empire. Fishermen cast their nets into its depths, while traders prepared their caravans for long journeys across the Saharan trade routes. At the heart of the empire, the capital Niani pulsed with energy, its streets alive with merchants, blacksmiths, and scholars. From the balcony of the Keita family estate, Jaffa Keita gazed out at the vast city. The son of Mansa Musa, one of the empire's greatest generals, Jaffa had always dreamed of leading an army in the name of Mali. But at 15, he was still a boy in the eyes of the court. A gust of wind carried the scent of roasted lamb and freshly baked millet bread from the palace kitchens. Jaffa's mother, Lady Kediatu, stepped beside him. She was dressed in deep indigo robes, her gold jewelry catching the light. "Your father wishes to see you," she said, her tone measured yet firm. Jaffa followed her through the corridors, the walls adorned with intricate carvings depicting the victories of Sandiata Keita, the founder of the empire. They entered the war room, where Mansa Musa stood beside a large map of Mali, his hands clasped behind his back. "You are of age, Jaffa," his father said. "It is time for you to learn the ways of war and diplomacy." Jaffa's heart raced with excitement. He expected to be sent on an expedition, but his father's next words crushed his hopes. "Mansa Musa is preparing a journey across the empire. I will accompany him. You will stay in Niani and train under Faba Sagalan, the commander of the city guard." Jaffa clenched his fists. "But, father, I can learn more by traveling with you." His father's gaze hardened. A warrior must first know his own land before he sets foot in foreign ones. Niani is the heart of Mali. If you wish to be a leader, you must understand its people. Jaffa bowed his head. He would not defy his father's wishes, but deep inside, he vowed to prove himself worthy of the battlefield. Under the watchful eye of Faba Sagalan, Jaffa trained alongside the city guard. He mastered the takido, the carved sword of the Mondeng warriors, and practiced the art of horseback combat. He learned discipline, but more importantly, he listened. Whispers of unrest reached his ears. Jeli Karamoko, the ruler of Songhai, was refusing to pay tribute. One night, Jaffa visited Gando Kebe, a scribe and one of his father's closest advisors. "The Songhai are growing bold," Jaffa said. "If they rebel, Mali's eastern borders will be in danger." Gando Kebe nodded gravely. "Mansa Musa knows this. But war is not always the answer. Sometimes, patience is the stronger blade." Jaffa was not satisfied with patience. He had a growing feeling that soon, war would come. Months passed, and Jaffa's suspicions were confirmed. Messengers from the eastern frontier arrived bearing dire news. Songhai had declared its independence. Mansa Musa was recalled to Niani. When he arrived, Jaffa stood before him, clad in warrior's garb. "Take me with you," Jaffa said. This time, his father did not refuse. Mali's army marched east, crossing the Niger River and advancing toward Gao, the Songhai stronghold. The battle was fierce. Songhai warriors, swift and disciplined, fought with unyielding resolve. Jaffa fought at his father's side, cutting through enemy lines. He witnessed the horrors of war, the dying cries of men, the scent of blood thick in the air. But he also saw the unity of the Malian forces. Their cavalry thundered across the battlefield, overwhelming the rebels. Jeli Karamoko was captured, and Gao fell once more under Malian rule. When the battle was over, Jaffa stood among the victors, his hands trembling from the fight. He had proven himself, but he knew his journey was far from over. After the war, Jaffa returned to Niani with his father. But a new opportunity awaited: Mansa Musa's legendary pilgrimage to Mecca. The caravan was unlike anything Jaffa had ever seen: 60,000 men, 100 camels laden with gold, and scholars from across the empire. They traveled north, crossing the Sahara Desert. Jaffa marveled at the Tuareg warriors who guided the caravan through the dunes. When they reached Cairo, the world stood in awe at Mali's wealth. Mansa Musa's generosity was so great that he flooded the Egyptian markets with gold, causing its value to plummet for a decade. Jafar walked the streets of Cairo, listening to Arab scholars debate philosophy and law. He met merchants from Persia, India, and China, each with their own stories of distant lands. When they finally reached Mecca, Jafar stood before the Kaaba, overwhelmed with reverence. The journey changed him. He no longer wished only for war, he wanted to build, to learn, to expand Mali's greatness beyond the battlefield. Upon their return, Mansa Musa summoned Jafar and Faba Musa. The emperor, now frail with age, spoke with wisdom. "Mali will outlive us all," he said. "It needs men of vision. Jafar, you have proven yourself. You have seen war, but you have also seen knowledge. Which path will you take?" Jafar knew his answer. "I will serve Mali in all ways, through strength, through wisdom, and through unity." Jafar, now a respected general and statesman, stood among those who ensured the empire's legacy endured. Under his leadership, Timbuktu flourished as a center of learning. Scholars from across the Islamic world traveled to its great Sanko University, and Mali's wealth and influence expanded even further. Jafar had become more than a warrior, he had become a guardian of Mali's golden age. The royal court of Mali, seated in Niani, was a place of grandeur and intrigue. Golden pillars lined the halls, and the air carried the scent of rare spices from across the empire. Here, in the presence of Mansa Musa, the most powerful men of Mali gathered, the Faba, governors, generals, scholars, and traders. Jafar Keita, now a respected warrior and court official, had earned his place among them. He had fought in battle, traveled with the emperor, and learned from the wisest men in Mali. But he quickly realized that the battlefield and the court were equally dangerous places. Mansa Musa had ruled for decades, and though his power was absolute, whispers of succession had begun. The Keita clan, to which all rulers of Mali belonged, was large, and there were many who sought the golden throne. One evening, as Jafar walked through the palace corridors, he heard hushed voices in the shadows. "Mansa Musa grows old. We must think of Mali's future." Jafar recognized the voice. It belonged to Faba Kurufeba, a powerful noble who controlled the gold mines of Bambak. The man had long resented Mansa Musa's favor toward his nephew and designated heir, Magan Musa. Stepping closer, Jafar listened. "We should act before it is too late," another voice said. Jafar clenched his fists. Treason was brewing in the heart of Mali. Malian politics revolved around the Keita dynasty, but succession was never guaranteed. Though Mansa Musa had named his son Magan Musa as his heir, many nobles believed the throne should go to a more experienced warrior or leader. The empire was vast, and different factions had their own ambitions. The generals, led by Faba Musa, Jafar's father, they supported Magan Musa but worried about his lack of experience. They wanted Mali to remain militarily strong. The nobles and gold merchants, men like Faba Kurufeba, controlled the empire's gold mines and sought a ruler who would favor their interests. They wanted a weaker ruler they could manipulate. The Islamic scholars, influential clerics in Timbuktu and Jen, sought a leader who would strengthen Mali's ties to the wider Islamic world, ensuring Mali remained a center of learning and faith. The provinces and vassals, the Fulani, Tuareg, and Songhai lords, some of whom had once rebelled, watched closely. A weak ruler would give them an opportunity to assert independence. Tensions rose when Mansa Musa fell ill. As the emperor weakened, Faba Kurufaba and his allies moved quickly. Rumors spread that Magan Musa was unfit to rule, that Mali needed a strong hand to protect it from rebellion. Some whispered that the throne should go to Mansa Musa's younger brother, Suleiman Keita, a seasoned warrior with strong backing from the generals. Jafar knew that if civil war erupted, Mali's golden age would collapse. He sought out his father. "There are traitors in the court," Jafar said. "If we do nothing, they will seize power the moment Mansa Musa dies." Faba Musa nodded gravely. "We must be ready. But we must not strike too soon. Mali does not need another war. Jaffa agreed, but he knew that if Kurufaba acted fast, there would be no choice. The struggle for the throne was fought not with swords, but with whispers, alliances, and assassinations. Loyalists to Mansa Musa began to secure the treasury, ensuring that the empire's gold would not fall into enemy hands. The Islamic scholars of Timbuktu issued fatwas, legal decrees, supporting the heir, warning against the sin of usurping the rightful ruler. Faba Kurufaba and his faction began bribing provincial governors, seeking to weaken the capital's power. Secret meetings were held in the palace, where men pledged loyalty, or plotted betrayal. One night, an assassin was caught near Mansa Musa's chambers. Under torture, he confessed that Faba Kurufaba had paid him to kill the heir. It was enough evidence for the generals to act. With the emperor on his deathbed, Jaffa and his father led the palace guards to Faba Kurufaba's estate. The old noble was taken in chains before the court. His supporters scattered, some fleeing, others swearing loyalty to Mansa Musa. The coup had been averted, but it had revealed the deep fractures within Mali's ruling elite. Days later, Mansa Musa passed away. Mansa Musa was crowned, but his rule would not be easy. Mansa Musa was young and lacked his father's strength, but he was not without allies. Jaffa Keita became a key advisor and military leader, ensuring stability in the provinces. The scholars of Timbuktu and Jen helped shape his rule, making Mali even more prominent in the Islamic world. Some rebellious governors were removed, but others were allowed to keep their lands in exchange for loyalty. Though Mali remained strong, the struggles of succession had left a mark. The empire's nobles had tasted the possibility of power, and future conflicts would test the unity of the Keita dynasty. Years later, Jaffa stood on the balcony of the palace, looking over Niani. He had seen war and betrayal, but also wisdom and resilience. The empire still stood, richer and more powerful than ever. But he knew that Mali's future would always be fragile, not because of foreign enemies, but because of the ambitions of men. As he turned to walk away, a thought lingered in his mind. A kingdom is not destroyed by its enemies, but by the greed of its own sons. Mali's greatest threat would always be within.